TechCrunch.
Hello, we are lucky to have the masterminds behind TechCrunch Moscow here, Edward Schenderovich of Kite Ventures and Mike Butcher of TechCrunch Europe and TechCrunch overall. And the first question probably to Edward, you are an active Russian startup advocate worldwide. Do you think the Russian startup market is growing? What are your impressions of the changes over the last few years?
You know, judging by the quality of the startups that we're seeing here, I see a tremendous change. This is something that didn't happen 2 years ago, even last year. I think the quality of the entrepreneurs that we're seeing and the startups that are pitching was considerably lower. With no disrespect to anyone who was pitching last year, but I'm really, really impressed with the way they're presenting, with the new ideas, with the products that are coming out in the market. So it just tells me that the ecosystem is maturing, which is great.
Awesome.
I think what Ed was also saying also is that the companies are more experienced now. So now they're more experienced at pitching, they're more experienced at communicating what they want to do, and they're often now understanding the role of product and how important it is to actually have a great product, not just a great technology.
Amazing. And yet we're still seeing lack of foreign or international investments into Russian companies. What do you think is blocking this global VCs from going to the local market?
Well, there have been quite a few investments made by foreign VCs.
They were all quite a few years ago, but not recently.
Well, Russia needs to produce results. I mean, that's the game. You need to you not only need to fundraise, but also you need to deliver. And the companies that have received investments need to deliver. There's a lot of money poured in the e-commerce space over the last few years, and that takes a long time. Also, I think that there's an issue with Russia. It's the biggest detriment. I mean, the Russian political situation, or the overall investment in Russia, is detrimental to the investment in the high-tech sector.
I think the other problem, if there is a problem, I think as Edward says, is there still needs to be more clearer legislation about how you create startups and start technology companies, high growth companies, how you do share options, things like that. I think it's quite interesting that they've assigned so much legislative power to, say, the Skolkovo organization. But that kind of legislation should really be rolled out across the whole of the country. But that said, I mean, I've just been in Helsinki at a conference called Slush, and there was a tremendous amount of interest in the Finnish technology ecosystem in terms of doing cross-border investments into Russia from Finland. I think there's quite a lot of shared, obviously a lot of shared history, but also a lot of a similar sort of culture to some extent. And it seems like there's an interesting sort of relationship going on there for the future.
But Finland, like Russia, also has a flourishing gaming sector.
Yeah.
Which is we're certain, and gaming certainly cross-border.
It's great that Mike actually mentioned something about cultural differences, and during the opening keynote at DRS he spoke a lot about his research into the entrepreneur's DNA, so to say, and he mentioned several differences that set Russian entrepreneurs apart from their European or American counterparts. You speak to entrepreneurs everywhere. Do you think there is anything specific about entrepreneurs in Russia?
Well, I think Adeo's point was that they've done effectively kind of psychological testing of entrepreneurs that have applied to their programs, and he presented the results based on that. Now, I mean, I don't know what the sample size was. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it would necessarily be general across the board, but it's very interesting data. I mean, I think that what you can say fairly easily about a lot of Russian entrepreneurs is they do think very heavily about the underlying science and the technology behind that they're developing, whereas often you will find in the West or in the US, people will literally just come up with an idea without even thinking of what the science should be to actually deliver the product.
But I think ultimately what Idea's point was that entrepreneurs exist everywhere. It's and it's a genetic condition.
Yeah, but there are some differences in how entrepreneurs do business worldwide, how they approach ideas.
I think it's not the difference between the entrepreneurs. It's the difference between the environment where with which they're faced. I mean, an entrepreneur in Russia would need to do many different things from an entrepreneur in the U.S. or the U.K. Or Germany. I mean, it's just every country has a different environment, and we can't get away from that, which in turn changes our perception of the entrepreneurs, and actually maybe changes the entrepreneurs themselves. They may be born in the same way, but then they need to react to the environment.
Thank you. While we were attracting startups to pitch here at TechCrunch and to demonstrate their products here at TechCrunch, a lot of them asked, do you really think that investors will consider us for potential investment if we pitch at TechCrunch? Where do you as an investor search for startups? Do you go to conferences like TechCrunch or any other?
I actually go to conferences, and I meet with many companies at conferences. Some are quite interesting. Mainly, I think that companies coming to TechCrunch to pitch need to consider that it's not only that they are getting investment right away, but also that they're exposing themselves. They're learning a lot, and they are not fundraising. May not be fundraising immediately, but may be fundraising in the future. So. A part of entrepreneurship, or a part of being an entrepreneur, is also building relationships. It's certainly part of building a company.
I think also it's about visibility. If you're pitching at TechCrunch Moscow, we're already on the front page of TechCrunch right now today. We've written about the companies that are pitching, the 38 companies. That's on TechCrunch as well. So if you're an investor and you want to know what's going on in the early stage technology sector and technology startups in Moscow, this is a perfect place to download what's happening right here, right now. And you can watch the live stream. You can be anywhere in the world and watch the live stream, not just in Moscow. And if you're an investor and you want to invest in amazing technologies and amazing startups in Russia, then you'll be taking notice. And it's a process. Things don't necessarily happen today. There won't be term sheets signed today or tomorrow. But over the next,
may be.
But who knows? But there might be. But over the next few weeks and months, it's because this kind of profile and buzz and atmosphere and vibe that we create an event like this, it means that investors can get visibility into this marketplace and start meeting the entrepreneurs.
That's a great pitch.
Yeah, and what's actually exciting is that we are seeing investors in the audience.
Unlike a lot of other events.
Absolutely.
And to wrap up this short interview, just if you could pick one industry that's going to be the most promising in the next few years, I don't know, enterprise, mobile, travel, whatever, which would you pick?
Food.
Great. Mike?
Food, yeah, definitely food. I mean, people talk a lot about health devices and healthcare being a big sector in the future because, many populations are aging. We need to monitor your health better. And so I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest sectors. Okay,
so we got some great sectors, food and health. That's amazing. Both.
Yeah,
that's TechCrunch Detox. Great. Thanks a lot.
TechCrunch.